Hiya guys, today we're gonna learn how to create a temperature converter application by using Android Studio. In this lesson, I just want to teach you the basics of Android Studio. So let's do let's create a new project and name it temperature converter. And as you can see here, what it does is to create an automatic folder for you, so you don't have to worry about that. You click next, you leave everything as it is. Here you leave it as empty activity. Click next, finish. Right, and here we go. It's just building up and loading stuff. It should be ready in the next couple of seconds. And here is it. Now it's gonna open two main screens for us. This is the screen in which we want to write our code, and this other one, which should be able viewed, is where we're gonna import the widget or the text views of the buttons or whatever layout or things we want to use. That's where we're gonna put them. So temperature converter, for this kind of temperature converter, we want to use a SeekBar. First of all, we want to search for the SeekBar. So let's do this. Come on, why are you so slow today? All right, okay. Widget, let's search for it. So when you go to widget, you see SeekBar, and you can just import it. The first thing to do is to use your constraint. It's very important, because without using the constraint, when you run your application, you're going to realize that things are not well positioned. That is why we have to use the constraint. For the purpose of this application, we want to go to text, and on layout width, we want to use fill parent. Right, so fill parent, and as you can see, it's Android is basically trying to tell us not to use this kind of layout property because it can cause problems in the future. The reason why we are using it now is to show you how SeekBar works. So here we go, and here's our SeekBar. Right, the next thing we want to do now is to give this SeekBar an ID. It's very important. This will help us link our SeekBar to our code. So it's already by default give you SeekBar, but I just added ID so that when I create any variable inside my code, it wouldn't conflict with that one, so that we wouldn't be confused. Now the next thing we want to search for is the text view. Text view basically shows you the content. It's just as the name says, it views text. Very simple as that. So as we can see, we use our constraint. Right, now in order to change the name of the text view inside here, it's always a good practice to use this three buttons over here in the text view property. It takes you to the screen where you are able to add new string value. This makes your code very manageable. It makes it very easy to manage it in the future, right? So I'll recommend using this. It's very, very, very necessary for you to use it. Right, now resource name is where you're gonna give an ID to your string basically. So for example, I'm gonna call this Fahrenheit, and resource value is the output, the thing you the string you basically see in your text view. So we're gonna call it Fahrenheit. And when we click on OK, have you seen that it's changed the text? One other thing we want to do is to change its size. So go on the properties and click and search for text size. It's already here. We want to set this to 24 sp, right? So we can see it better. Now, we don't want to give any sort of ID to this one, because all we want to do is to just tell our user, you know, what the function of this in it. So we want to tell it that, okay, there's Fahrenheit, and afterwards we want to import or drag in another text view which will display the value of the value, the degrees of value in here in Fahrenheit. So we use the constraint here as well, right? Now, as for this kind of text view, we want to give it an ID. So first thing of all, we say Fahrenheit ID, right? And the second thing is that we want to change the text size as well. Text size, I want to set it to 18, and that seems to be cool. Now, we want this kind of Fahrenheit to be a bold text in it, so we want to make the text bold. So we say text style. You see, it gives you this option. We click on bold and we can see that it's become bold. In here, what we want to do is to just view how do we call it, the result in Fahrenheit, or the Fahrenheit degree. So we don't need any text view here, so we can cancel that off. You can pause the video and try to do that for the centigrade, as I'm about to do now as well. So I'll position this here, constraint, and here we go. I'm gonna change my text and say this is Celsius or centigrade. Yeah, sorry, we're gonna do it for centigrade. So I would say centigrade. Okay, and we're gonna click on OK. And as we already know, we want the text style to be bold. So text style, we say bold, and we also want to change the text size. So we want to make it 24 as well. And here we go. It seems to be pretty cool. Now, as you know, we're gonna import another text view in here. Right. Excellent. Okay, and here we go. Here we go. And we're gonna change its ID to centigrade ID. Excellent. And the next thing we want to do is to, well, before we do this, we want to change its size. So we say text size, and we set it to 18. Now, what we want to do is to make sure this is set to wrap content, and the same for this one. It's already a wrapped content. Let me see this. It's already wrapped. Okay, excellent. So we want to cancel this name. So this is our layout, and we are now set to go into our code. If I should run this, one thing you need to know is that when you're running it for the first time, it will tell you to create a new virtual device. So if you click on it, I use Nexus 5. It's just does everything. I click on next. I've already downloaded it. I use Nougat, API level 25. I use this one. Yeah, you can use any other, but I prefer using this one as it's highly recommended. So you can just create a new virtual device, and after you've created it, you just click on OK. Now here's my Android phone, and as we can see here, it's loading. It's a graded build running, so in just few seconds it should update the screen. Excellent. Now here we go, so we can see. Now what we want to do is that we know that we want to kind of make sure that any temperature in centigrade can be converted to Fahrenheit and vice versa by just sliding left and right, our SeekBar. So now we're gonna connect the code. We're gonna write a code which should be able to do this trick for us. Now, first thing first, I'm gonna set my private field. So I say private. The type is text view, and I'm gonna say text Fahrenheit, or I'll just create a shortcut for text view. Excellent. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the centigrade. Text view. Excellent. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the SeekBar, but we're using the SeekBar type. We taking it from the SeekBar class. So I'm gonna name it SeekBar. Now, in order to link the code to our layout, we have to reference it. We have to connect them by referencing, and that's how we do it. I call the variables, the fields, the name of the field create here, and I set it to. So for example, I do for text view, and I set it to this type. We know that it's of type text view, right? And what we will tell it is to find view by ID, and inside here we want to use this reference. It's already pre-built in Android, so it's not really necessary to know what it does, but all it does is to give you is to be able to connect, right? Is to connect the layout with the code, as simple as that. So as we can see, it recalls the IDs we created in our layout. So in this case, we are speaking about Fahrenheit text view, so we connect it to the Fahrenheit ID. So you remember, for the text view in our layout, we gave it as ID Fahrenheit ID. So it should have been text view ID, which would have been really clear. But it's okay, we can manage this for now, and we can create another one, text view find view by ID, and we will do r.id dot centigrade ID. Excellent. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the SeekBar as well. So we're gonna say SeekBar should be equal to of type SeekBar find view by ID, and we're gonna say r.id dot SeekBar ID. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, the first thing we want to do is to set the progress of the SeekBar to 200, to set the maximum progress to 200. So meaning that it begins from 0 and up to 200. I'm gonna explain why I'm doing this in a second. So SeekBar.setMax, set max, and I'm gonna say 200. Right. Now what I want to do is that when my SeekBar is in the middle, I want the text view, because in centigrade I want the centigrade to be 0, right? When we convert in centigrade to Fahrenheit, we know that when centigrade is 0 degrees, Fahrenheit is 32 degrees. So when the SeekBar is right in the middle, it should give me a value of 0 in here. That is how I want my application to run in it. So this is what I do. I set the maximum figure of my SeekBar to 200, and what I will say is that SeekBar.onProgress oh yeah, I need to set it in it. Set progress. Here we go. We would like to use this one. So obviously 200 is the max, so I want to set it to the middle, so I'll say 100, and I will tell it that true. So all what it does is to set my this cursor here to the middle. As simple as that, right? The reason why it's giving this error is because we've not imported it in here, so we have to import it. It already gives you a kind of a set of method you can use in order to, make this error disappear. So after some time you can see that there is no error anymore, and it returns yellow or orange. We're gonna save our work now. I want to do something here, and what I want to do is that whenever I slide the SeekBar to the left or to the right, I should be able to view or to see how do we call it, the values of the centigrade changing. So it should show in here in the text view. Remember, we create in here, should be able to change values from 0 to 100 and vice versa to the minus, and yeah, up and down. So we will say that SeekBar, we will call an event listener for it. Set on SeekBar change listener. There's the event listener, as you can see, and we will say new SeekBar on SeekBar change event listener. So it gives you these three possibilities. Instead of using int I, I'm gonna say on progress to make things clearer, and this is from user. Okay, now first thing I want to do is that I want to tell it that when SeekBar is in the middle, if SeekBar cursor is in the middle, set text value to 0. Simple as that. And how are we going to do this? One thing we need to know is that this set on progress 100 in here, right, is automatically being transferred in here. You get it? What happens is that Android does all the background operation for us, so we don't really have to struggle down with it. So I'm gonna say on progress, the new on progress should be equal to this new on progress should be equal to on progress, which is this progress here. You know, the new Android Studio gives you also some labels, right? So it tells all. So this progress here minus 100. So basically all it's doing is 100 minus 100. It's return 0. Set it to store it in this variable over here. And what I do is that I call my send text view. So I say send text view dot set text. So I wanna tell it to set to view that value. You know, when you use in Java, you use the system out print ln, but since we're using a visual, you know, we want to visualize it in the application. This is how we call, you know, it in Android. So we say send text view dot set text, and what do we want to set in here? It's on progress, right? Or we can say, because it's very necessary, and we concatenate it with, so whatever result returns in here, put it inside here. So if we should refresh our application, excellent. Now you can see that it's set in the middle because I stated it here, set progress to 100. So it divides it, you know, it's since it the maximum is 200, it divides it in two, and obviously 100 is in the middle. You see, this is what happens, right? So 0. Now to calculate in Fahrenheit, we need to find the formula, right? So I'm gonna say formula to convert centigrade to right. And in order to do this, first of all, I'm gonna say int var is equal to, now we're gonna use the formula, right, to convert. This is logically our value in centigrade. So now we're gonna convert this centigrade to Fahrenheit, and there's the formula which is being used. The first thing I want to do is to, in bracket, import the result of this. So I'm telling it that anything that is found on progress, any return value or any value which my text view returns, or any value with my calculation returns, now multiply it by, is it 1.8? I think, if I remember, yeah, 1.8, and add 32 to it. 32. Okay, it's giving us okay, so yeah, because we're using 1.8, which is kind of a float value, but I'm gonna say 5/9, so it's the same. And I'm gonna tell it that far text view should be the set text. I want to set it to far. I want to set whatever value returns in here. That is what I want to show, right? So as with it, with the send, with the centigrade, I'm just gonna put 2 quotes and concatenate it with far. So whatever values return inside here, I want it to display. So we just save it. We click on this button here to refresh our application, and it should do the trick. So let's see. When it goes up down to 0, it's 32. Yeah, so it's right. So this a simple trick which can be useful a lot. Yeah, there seems to be a problem here because, you know, 100 centigrade should be equal to 212. Let's go find out the reason why. Oh yeah, so that should be 9 over 5, not 5 over 9. Let's double check if everything is fine. Excellent. So yeah, this is the right result. Thank you very much, and subscribe to my videos, share it, and hope it's very helpful to you. Thank you. Bye.